Everyone likes to hear good news, and the greatest news of all is the story of Jesus. Perhaps this is why the early Christians referred to it as the good news or the gospel. It comes from a Greek word that was originally used to describe the news of a military victory which had been brought by a messenger to the commander of the army. Mark begins his gospel by calling it the good news about Jesus. Well, Jesus' teaching was also often called the good news, as we read oftentimes in the gospel accounts. But the word for good news must have also been a favorite of Luke, for we find the word translated as gospel or good news almost 20 times in the books of Luke and Acts, these two books being written by Luke. The first 4 books of the New Testament are often called the Gospels because they contain the good news about Jesus, and each one was written by a different author, and they each give us a slightly different way of looking at Jesus. Luke was probably a Gentile and the only writer in the New Testament who did not come from a Jewish background. And how he himself came to hear the good news, we really don't know. All that we do know is that Luke wanted to share it with others. For Luke, this good news was not just for some select group, but it was for everyone. And we see this especially in Luke's interest in marginal groups, such as the Gentiles, the Samaritans, and even women, children, the poor, tax collectors, and those that he simply referred to as sinners. The stories that we find in the book of Luke are very vivid and colorful. Sometimes Luke gives us a glimpse into the lives of these individuals. Some of these are people like Zechariah and Elizabeth, the parents of John the Baptizer, Jesus' mother Mary, Simeon and Anna, the sisters, Mary and Martha, and Zacchaeus. And while others, such as the widow of Nain, the sinful woman who anointed Jesus, and many others met Jesus, they remain unnamed. But these are timeless stories that can still touch us today just as much as they did those who first heard these stories. Luke begins his account of Jesus with a formal dedication to someone named Theophilus. Theophilus means loved by God, or one who loves God. And Theophilus was a common name in Luke's day. But the title, Most Excellent, suggests that Theophilus was a wealthy, prominent citizen, perhaps even a government official. Now, some have suggested that Theophilus was a patron of Luke and sponsored the writing of his gospel. But others have suggested that it is a name that is taken after Theophilus became a Christian, or perhaps a name representing all believers as all loved of God. But it seems most likely that Theophilus was simply a person whom Luke wanted to know more about Jesus. And as Luke pointed out, there are other accounts, but he wanted to prepare his own account of the things that he had heard and the things that he had seen as a disciple of Christ. He wanted people to know more about Jesus, just as we today as followers of Christ want people to know more about Jesus. And so he penned his gospel, and he did it in such a detailed way that the Gospel of Luke is still seen as one of the most complete of these 4 gospel accounts. Today, we are very fortunate that this special book has been preserved so that we can read of Luke's account of the good news of Jesus Christ. Friends, we want to thank you for joining us for our study today. We pray that God blesses you with a wonderful day today and a great week ahead.